Back again with another installment of Ask the Agronomist featuring Ben Pease from the Andersons. Our question today comes in from Cade Ring. What is your preferred spreader method? Wheel to wheel or throw to throw?
Oh, this is a good one. I mean, the turf community seems to be rather split. Are you going to apply wheel to wheel or are you going to apply throw to throw? So, a couple things to consider if you are doing the wheel to wheel. So that's you make one pass going one direction, then your pass coming back, you're throwing all the way back to your tracks. So there, you're really making a double application. So either um, you have to cut your rate in half. So let's say you wanted to apply your fertilizer or Fert Plus control product at 2 pounds per thousand, or let's say 3 pounds per thousand. You have to recalibrate your spreader to go at 1.5 pounds of product per thousand. So while that is possible with some products, maybe your smaller SGN products, it's harder to get calibrated a spreader to go that low, as a rate, pounds of product per thousand. It's tougher to get a calibration on some products at that wheel to wheel half rate. So if you're, depending on what you're using, you could go wheel to wheel, but it might not work out with every product. So if it's a product that doesn't work out to be able to cut the rate in half, then throw to throw is probably the best option. So, looking at some higher nitrogen fertilizers, if you want to put out 1 pound of N, you're probably looking at below 2.5 pounds per thousand, or if you even want to put out 1/2 pound of granular nitrogen, then you're really getting into low application rates. So you wouldn't be able to probably calibrate a spreader to do that wheel to wheel version. So you're going to be stuck with the option of using throw to throw. Now, the little caveat with throw to throw is we're still overlapping a little bit because at the edge of that arc, that spreader arc, we're not getting as much out to the edges. So, we still do need to overlap in 10 to 20%, a foot or so, but that's built into the spread pattern of most spreaders. So even throw to throw, you're not throwing just to where those last particles fell down. We're still going to overlap a touch by a foot or two, but it's definitely not overlapping wheel to wheel. So a couple things to consider are, what's your application rate, and can you cut it down into a half rate to do that wheel to wheel? If not, then throw to throw is best. And another thing to consider is your labor hours, what you have available. Obviously, going wheel to wheels, you're walking twice as much because you're not covering as much ground. So think about who's doing the application, how much time you have. Do you need to stay ahead of play? Things like that can kind of say, well, this application, we've got some buffering time. We can do wheel to wheel. We've got a small SGN material that we can put out at a half rate. But if you're just doing tees with a larger SGN and you want to do up and down on each tee, you've covered it with throw to throw. So things to consider with the product, and then things to consider with labor and timing as well.
Beautiful. Well, I would just ask you about calibration. Is there anything you can do to make sure you are kind of getting that expected throw?
Good question. Yeah, I did mention calibration there when you're thinking about your rates. So we can use a catch can that attaches to the bottom of our spreader and catches most of what's coming out. And then we measure what's coming into that catch can box to calibrate. And, that's where you'll find out, can I cut the rate in half? Or maybe I can't. Maybe I can't dial it down that far. So you can do it that way, or you can put out catch cans across the whole spread width and see what falls in. You'll notice that there's a lot more material right closer to your spreader than there is further out. So that's where I'm talking about that. Even if you're doing a throw to throw, you're still overlapping a little bit. And doing that, putting out cookie sheets or, some sort of shallow catch containers that you can drive through with the spreader will tell you how far you really have to overlap when you're doing the throw to throw, or how far you don't have to overlap. And that'll change with SGN of the material, consistency of the material. So it's good to recalibrate every spring. Even if you've used the product before, it would just take a few minutes and run it through your spreader and throw the calibration box on or do the catch cans, and you just have that much more confidence in your applications that you're spending a lot of time and money out there to do. So I know we've got a catch can that we do sell that attaches right onto our spreaders. And, of course, there's all kinds of other good trays or homemade versions that you can do as well. But calibration is key. Let's make sure we're putting out what we think we're putting out.
Yes, definitely calibrate those spreaders. Very, very important. Well, thank you so much. This has been another installment of Ask the Agronomist presented by the Andersons. If you guys have a question you want to get into us and asked on the show, reach out to us or reach out to somebody from the Andersons.